Hello, everyone. We welcome you to a special show today. We're at Fairview Park Hospital, and we're able to speak to Miss Brandy Jones. And you're with infection control here at Fairview Park Hospital, right, Brandy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all. You've been with the hospital for a few years, I understand?
I have. I've been here for 3 years, and I have been in infection control for 8 years. I have some ICU experience, and I am certified in infection control.
Okay. And obviously that's a very important factor of what Fairview Park Hospital offers. And we're here today specifically to talk, Brandy, a little bit more to people about the flu. It has been a hot topic amongst so many people, and people are quite concerned about it. You know, we got the news a little while back that the flu shot wasn't, I guess, for the strain that was really taking off around us. And so what can you tell us about that, first of all, about that news?
That is big news. You know, a flu is a virus, so it can mutate, and every few years there is a mismatch in the flu strain and the vaccine. So what happens is the CDC and those people, they have to start making the flu vaccine prior to the year, and so they don't know at that time if it's going to be a different strain.
Okay.
So even when the flu vaccine mutates, as it did this year, it was a strain A that mutated. Even if you have the flu vaccine, you will have some immunity. There are hundreds of flu viruses that circulate every year, so they pick the top 4 from the previous season to put into the vaccine.
Okay.
So what will happen probably next year is the flu vaccine will be great, and then in a few years there'll be another mismatch.
Yeah. You can't determine what it's going to be, so you're taking the previous year
That's correct.
and applying that to the vaccine
Yes.
that people will receive. Okay, well, thank you for that information. All right, but, okay, if someone had a flu shot this year and they've yet to get the flu, what should they do at this point? Just continue on?
It is recommended that all people ages 6 months and older receive the flu vaccine. Even though we've had a serious flu season already, since there are so many different strains that circulate, usually in the spring you'll have a reemergence of one of the different strains. So even if you miss the more common strains now, it will prevent you from getting flu later in the season.
Okay. All right, so what about the fact, and you're going to correct me on this because I think you just did, but that young and old are the most susceptible to getting the flu?
They are the most susceptible to getting it, and of course your infants up to 6 months are not able to be vaccinated. So it's very important if you have children in your home or if you care for these kids up to 6 months that you have the vaccine so that they will not get it from you. So that's very important. But everyone is recommended to get the flu vaccine. It is more detrimental to get the flu if you're young or old. What happens is typically most people that are generally healthy would get the flu and they would be sick for several days, up to a week. And if you've had the flu before, you know that it does make you feel very bad. You have high fevers and the tiredness and the muscle aches and pains.
Yeah.
But in the young and old, you can develop things like pneumonia, which can send you to the hospital. And every year there's about 20,000 kids under the age of 5 that are admitted to the hospital with flu and they develop pneumonia. And those can be lethal when you have impaired immune systems and you develop these things.
Is that predominantly where pneumonia comes from a prior illness, like they get the flu and then their immune system breaks down?
Right. So they get the flu and then they develop pneumonia from that because their body's already weak. And then if you're very young or old, your body can't fight that. And we have seen over the past few years an increase in flu deaths related to pneumonia.
Flu deaths. You know, you feel like you want to die almost, but you just want to feel better. But you can actually die from
You can actually die
flu.
from the flu, from the related complications.
So it's very important. Now, what would one do? What is the best action to take to get the flu shot?
Flu shots are available almost everywhere now. So, of course, your provider, your physician, you can get them there. You can also go to your local pharmacies, Walgreens and those places like that, and have flu vaccine there. School systems give flu vaccines. Most workers, employers offer flu vaccination. We offer as a facility flu vaccination for all of our employees and their family members free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great thing. And we actually have a 92% vaccination rate for our staff.
Good. Okay, now, someone that's exposed should get the flu shot, exposed to young children or, what have you,
Right.
because they're going to come in contact with it sooner or later. All right, but if you work with the public a lot, if you're out and about, if you work with a lot of different people in a lot of different environments, what do you do to prevent it? Is just washing your hands still the best?
Actually, the CDC says that prevention is recommended through vaccination. That's your first line of defense.
Okay.
So vaccination first, and then always good hand washing. Flu is spread through droplets, so talking, sneezing, coughing spreads flu virus, and also through your hands, touching things can spread the flu virus. So vaccination and good hand washing, and it's important also that if you're sick with a fever, and CDC defines for flu a fever as 100 degrees, that you stay home or not visit public places. We saw during the month of December, right before Christmas break, that lots of kids had flu, and then when it was school holidays, it did decrease. So it's important that when you have fever that you stay home and don't visit hospitals, you don't visit daycares, any of those places where you would expose people.
Yeah. And so many times people will hear that, but then they get up and their child doesn't feel well and they have to go to work. They have to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, car payments due. They have to put food on the table. So Johnny or Julie go off to school, and
that's always a concern. You do know that, some parents, unfortunately, do send their kids to school sick, maybe give them Motrin or Tylenol before that. But just common sense, taking care, try not to send your kids to school sick, because you do expose people, and the flu is actually contagious before you have symptoms. So you've already had some exposure even before you have your fever.
About how long on average?
Usually a few days. You're contagious usually a day before you show symptoms, and then about 4 days after.
Okay. All right, and then after that, and by the fever that you have the flu, or the signs of aches and pains, or what's usually first?
Usually it's the aches and pains, achy, you're tired, you have fever. Kids actually have, it's common for them to have upset tummies. So not everyone has that. Not everyone always has a fever. So it can be hard to tell, if you have just a cold or just the flu. But definitely with a cold, you won't have, the fever symptoms, and you shouldn't really be that achy, just the stuffy nose mainly. So.
And you see a lot of people this time of year that maybe if they are a little under the weather, they don't want to shake hands with you. They're trying to spare you from that, give you the knuckle bump or elbow bump or what have you. You've seen.
Right, that's always great.
Popular, yeah. And I guess they're just trying to look out for you, but at the same time, what do you look for as far as maybe using a water cooler and a gym? If you go to Fairview Park Fitness, should you just maybe during a outbreak of the flu, so to speak, a more prone time, just stay away from water coolers and things like that?
Well, unfortunately, you could, I guess, go and decontaminate everything you touch, but that's not practical.
Right.
So if you're going to a gym, you want to make sure that you clean your equipment before use to kill flu germs. They're easily killed by your regular cleaners. So water coolers, good hand hygiene is crucial to that. So if you're touching the knobs, make sure that you wash your hands afterwards.
Hand sanitizers that are there.
Yes.
Okay, so how long does the germ live outside of the body? Because I had received some reports of schools that would go in overnight and do a massive cleaning, try to clean everything.
That's great if they can do that. So, yes, about a day or so they live on surfaces. Viruses don't live long on surfaces, so a day or so.
Okay. And how about it here at Fairview Park Hospital now? Someone has the flu, if they're feeling quite poorly, of course, should they see their physician? Should they come on over to you guys? What would be best?
If someone is feeling ill and it's not just their regular, I have a stuffy nose, if they feel ill enough or they feel like they need to see a physician, they can either come to our emergency room. We have urgent care side of that, or they can go to their family physician. We do flu swabs to see if it's the flu, because there's different treatments you can do for the flu. Tamiflu is recommended by the CDC, and if you start it within a day or so, it actually decreases the severity of illness by a few days. So that's good to know if you have the flu or if you just have the common cold.
Okay, Tamiflu.
Tamiflu.
Tell me about the product.
Tamiflu is just an antiviral. It's been around for a while. Actually, several years ago, the CDC released Tamiflu nationwide out of their stockpile when the swine flu was making its appearance on the scene. So it's been around, and it's good for all ages. They have liquid forms for kids, and it's pills for adults. So
Over the counter.
not over the counter. You have to have a prescription
Okay.
for it.
All
So
right.
you would have to go see your provider for that.
Okay. Okay. So Tamiflu would be good. Okay. Now you mentioned swabbing, flu swab. What is that about?
The flu swab is just a rapid test that we can detect if you have the flu, and it can actually differentiate between which strain. So if you have flu A or flu B, and that's just the different strains that circulate every year. And it just lets us know, because we don't want to give you Tamiflu or things if you don't have the flu. We want to be responsible with our medication prescription use.
So your skin, your tongue, how do you swab?
The flu swab is a nasal swab, and it's a
Okay.
rapid test that would come back pretty quickly.
Okay, so you'd know right away if it's
Yes.
a flu or something else. You just feel a little peak and worried.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, of course, you can come to Fairview Park. We have the urgent care available, and then of course the emergency room for you 24/7.
Yes.
And you always are willing to help. Of course, once again, we want to remind everyone to get the flu shot if any way
Yes.
possible.
Very important.
They have questions. Is there a website or somewhere they can go for more information?
They can always visit the CDC's website. If you go to www.cdc.gov, there is a spot to click on flu information, and it has it for kids, adults, anything that you could want. And you can also call the hospital and talk to us.
Brandy, you've received a lot of training over time. You are a nurse.
I am.
So I would like for you to maybe share with us what one characteristic do you believe it takes to be a good nurse?
Oh, well, that's hard. I think you have to be caring. I think you have to have a general care for just the general population. There's so many people that need things, so you have to want their best interest.
Compassion.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for speaking with us today on camera and encouraging people to take responsibility for your health. Take the flu shot first, and be sure to wash your hands a lot. Try to be as sterile as you possibly can. We all have to go and do. You're in and out of grocery stores, department stores, gyms, businesses, work, and so just be aware of that. Wash your hands quite often after you take that flu shot, and try to take care. And if you have more questions, go onto the website. And thank you so much for joining us today at Fairview Park Hospital. Thanks again,
Thank
Randy.
you.